I never thought one sin could drag me straight into hell. People always said, God is merciful, God understands, but I discovered something terrifying. Hell is real and it doesn't let go. I was a church girl, the kind my husband chose because he believed I was holy, faithful, and committed to God. Everyone admired me, but nobody knew the hatred I carried inside. It all began with my mother-in-law, the woman who turned my marriage into a nightmare. I thought I had every reason to hate her. I thought God would understand my bitterness. But that hatred, that one act I committed out of anger, was the very thing that dragged me into the flames of hell. And the most shocking part? When I got there, I found her too. My mother-in-law, the one I had poisoned, burning in the same torment as me. This is not just a story. This is my near-death encounter. And if you can hear my voice today, please don't treat this like another tale. What I saw, what I felt, what I heard, it was more real than the life I am living now. Before I share the full details of what happened, I want to pause and thank every single one of you who has been supporting this channel. Every time you subscribe, every time you leave a comment, every time you share these stories, you are helping us reach more souls who might never step inside a church. This community is not just an audience. It is a family of people hungry for truth, for hope, and for testimonies that open our eyes to eternity. So to our new subscribers, welcome. And to those who have been here from the beginning, thank you for standing with us. Stories like this one are not easy to tell, but because of your encouragement, I have the courage to bring them to light. Please keep watching, keep engaging, and let's walk this journey together. What you are about to hear may change your life forever. I grew up inside the church walls. My childhood was filled with memory verses, choir rehearsals, and endless Sunday services. People knew me as the girl who loved God. I was the one others would point at and say, she will make a good wife. And true enough, when my husband came into my life, he said the very reason he chose me was because I was pure and different from the others. In the beginning, I believed marriage would be the reward for my faithfulness. I thought I had walked into my happily ever after, but I was wrong. The very day I said I do, my life began to take a turn I never imagined. My husband's mother, my mother-in-law, never accepted me. To her, I was nothing but a distraction, someone who had stolen her son's love and loyalty. She was a strong woman, a matriarch who believed her word was law in the family. And suddenly, I found myself in a house where my voice meant nothing. First, I tried to pray about it. I would kneel in the dark corners of my room, whispering to God to soften her heart. But the more I prayed, the harsher she became. Every little thing I did turned into a mistake in her eyes. If I cooked, she said it was tasteless. If I cleaned, she said it wasn't enough. She would whisper things into my husband's ears until he began to look at me differently. The man who once called me his blessing started seeing me as a burden. I could see it in his eyes, resentment, doubt, and coldness. And every time I cried, every time I tried to explain, he would only say, "You are the reason for this tension. My mother was never like this before you came." My heart began to harden. Slowly, love gave way to bitterness. I would sit in church on Sundays, raising my hands in worship, but deep inside I was carrying poison, first in my thoughts, then in my soul. I stopped listening to sermons about forgiveness because they pricked my heart too much. I stopped reading the Bible because every verse felt like a mirror exposing me. And so I became two people: the devoted Christian the world saw, and the broken, angry woman nobody knew. It reached a breaking point when my mother-in-law humiliated me publicly in front of relatives. She called me barren, cursed me, and declared that I would never give her grandchildren. My husband stood there, silent, watching me drown in shame. That day something snapped inside me. I said nothing out loud, but I whispered a vow in my heart. One day she will pay for all of this. That vow was the seed of the sin that almost damned me forever. It began as a whisper, a thought I tried to push away. But bitterness is like fire. It doesn't die when you hide it. It grows in the dark. Each insult, each humiliation from my mother-in-law poured fuel on that fire. And the more my husband drifted away from me, the more that fire burned until it consumed my thoughts. One night, after another heated argument where my husband chose her side over mine, I sat alone in the kitchen. Tears blurred my eyes as I clutched a pot I had just cooked. And in that moment, a thought came so clear it scared me. End this. Free yourself. I argued with myself. No, I can't. I'm a Christian. I sing in the choir. I can't. But another voice inside me whispered back, haven't you suffered enough? She will never stop until you are destroyed. You deserve peace. Days turned into weeks, and that dark whisper grew louder. Then one afternoon, as I watched her drink water from a glass I had served, I thought, what if this is the last glass she ever drinks? The plan formed quickly. Too quickly. It felt like I wasn't even the one thinking, like something else was guiding me. And in my brokenness, I allowed it. The night I finally slipped poison into her food, my hands trembled. I remember standing in the kitchen, staring at the dish, my heart racing. A scripture flashed in my head. Vengeance is mine, says the Lord. But I silenced it with tears. Lord, you don't understand, I whispered. I can't take this anymore. She ate. Hours later, she clutched her stomach in pain. I watched as chaos filled the house. My husband screaming, relatives rushing to her side. I acted the part of the worried daughter-in-law, but deep down my soul was shaking. I thought it would bring me relief, but instead, fear choked me. By morning, she was gone. I expected peace, but what came was emptiness. My husband's eyes, those eyes that once adored me, turned into weapons of hatred. He didn't say it out loud, but I knew he suspected me. Every glance pierced me. Every silence screamed louder than words. Then came the funeral. The house was packed. Relatives wailed, neighbors gathered, and I sat in the front row, my head bowed. My husband stood like a stone beside me, refusing to even hold my hand. My heart pounded with every hymn they sang. I wanted to cry, but guilt locked my tears inside. As the coffin was lowered into the ground, I felt dizzy. A strange coldness swept through my body, like ice crawling through my veins. I tried to steady myself, but the earth beneath my feet seemed to tilt. Suddenly, the sound of mourning faded. The sun above dimmed. My chest tightened. Then, everything went silent. I saw my body slump to the ground as people rushed toward me, screaming. But I wasn't inside that body anymore. I was above, watching, confused and terrified. Before I could understand what was happening, a violent force yanked me downward. It wasn't gentle. It was like invisible chains wrapped around me, dragging me with speed I couldn't resist. I screamed, but no sound came out. I fought, but there was nothing to hold on to. Darkness swallowed me. A stench, sharp and unbearable, filled the air, sulfur, burning flesh, decay. In the distance, I began to hear something that froze my soul. Screams. Endless, piercing screams. I was being pulled into hell. And what awaited me there was worse than any nightmare I had ever imagined. I was falling. Not through air, not through clouds, but through a darkness so heavy it felt alive. The deeper I went, the colder it became. Then suddenly heat. A wave of suffocating heat slammed into me, searing my skin, though I had no body as I knew it. I wanted to breathe, but the air itself was poison, thick with the stench of sulfur, burning hair and rotting flesh. Then I heard it again, the screams. They weren't just sounds. They were waves of agony that pierced my soul. It was as if millions of voices cried out at once, each one clawing for relief that never came. The sound wrapped around me, pressed into me, until I thought my very being would shatter. I landed with a thud on dry, cracked ground. It glowed faintly, like coals buried beneath ash. I looked around and saw shadows moving, twisted figures writhing in torment. Their mouths opened wide in endless screams, but their eyes, oh their eyes, were hollow pits of despair. I staggered to my feet, terrified, and that's when I saw the flames. They didn't rise like the flames of a fire here on earth. These burned upward, twisting like living serpents, snatching at the souls trapped within. Each time a flame touched one, their screams grew louder, their forms contorting into shapes I cannot describe. I tried to cover my ears, but there were no hands to do so. I tried to close my eyes, but sight itself was unavoidable. The torment of hell was not just around me, it was inside me. Suddenly, I felt movement beside me. A hand, cold, bony, clutched my arm. I turned and screamed. It was a woman, her face disfigured, her skin half melted as if fire had licked it for centuries. Her eyes burned with hate, and yet, when she spoke, her voice was familiar. "You," she shrieked. I froze. My heart, if I had one, stopped. It was my mother-in-law. Her features, though twisted, were unmistakable. The same sharp nose, the same piercing look. She stared at me with a mixture of rage and desperation. "Why are you here? Why? You followed me even into death." I staggered backward, trembling. No, this can't be. You're supposed to be in heaven. You prayed. You fasted. You were the one who made my life miserable. But surely you..." She cut me off with a scream that echoed across the flames. Heaven? No. I am here because of the hatred in my heart. Because I worshipped myself more than God. Because I destroyed with my tongue. And I never repented. This is my place. And now it's yours too. Her words sliced through me. My chest felt as though it would explode with fear. The ground beneath us split open, and rivers of fire flowed like molten lava. Souls were dragged by unseen hands into those rivers, screaming as the flames swallowed them. Some tried to climb out, only to be pushed back by creatures. Dark, monstrous beings with eyes like burning coal and teeth sharper than blades. One of them turned its gaze on me. My whole being shook as it grinned, revealing jagged teeth dripping with something black. It pointed at me and hissed, "She is ours." I tried to run, but there was no escape. Everywhere I turned was torment. Souls clawed at me, begging for water, for mercy, for death itself, but death was gone. Their fingers burned as they touched me, yet I felt their pain inside my soul. My mother-in-law clung to me again, her voice a wail. "Why didn't you forgive me? Why didn't you endure? Why did you choose sin? Now look, we are both here." Her words sank into me like poison. I remembered the night I poisoned her food. I remembered thinking it would bring me peace. But here I was, chained to the very person I thought was my enemy, both of us bound by the same sin of hatred. I collapsed onto the burning ground, weeping, though tears could not fall. The weight of regret crushed me. I wanted to scream to God, but I felt so far, so cut off, that I doubted He could hear me. The demons drew closer. One extended its claw, ready to drag me deeper into the pits. And in that moment I thought, this is it. This is forever. But just as the claw touched me, a light, brighter than the sun, flashed across the darkness. The demon's claw was inches from my face when suddenly light. It wasn't the dim flicker of fire. It was a brilliance so pure, so overwhelming, that even the flames of hell recoiled. The demons shrieked, covering their eyes, retreating like shadows fleeing the morning sun. That light wrapped around me, warm yet fierce, and for the first time since falling into that abyss, I felt something other than terror. I felt hope. A voice thundered through the darkness. It wasn't loud in the way we know loud, it was authority itself. Every soul, every demon, every flame went still at the sound. Enough. This one is not yet yours. I looked up, trembling, and through the light I saw him. His face was veiled in glory, but his presence was unmistakable. It was Jesus. My spirit knew him instantly. The scars on his hands, the love radiating from him like fire. But his eyes, oh, his eyes. They burned with both grief and mercy as they pierced through me. I fell on my face or whatever form I had in that moment and cried out, "Lord, I'm sorry. I didn't mean, please forgive me." He lifted his hand, and in that gesture I felt waves of compassion. Yet his voice was heavy with sorrow. "You allowed bitterness to take root in your heart. You let hatred grow until it bore fruit in death. One sin was enough to drag you into this place. Do you now see how narrow the way is?" I wept uncontrollably. My whole being shook as I realized how lightly I had treated sin, how I had excused my bitterness because of pain. "Lord, I thought you understood. I thought you would overlook." His voice interrupted, sharp and clear. "I died so you could be free from sin, not enslaved to it. My blood was enough to cover your pain, but you chose vengeance instead of forgiveness. My mercy kept you alive until today, but your choices brought you here." His words were truth itself. They cut me, but they also healed me. For the first time I saw myself clearly, not as a victim of my mother-in-law, not as a misunderstood wife, but as a sinner who had chosen death. Then his tone softened. "Your time is not yet come. I am sending you back, not because you deserve it, but because of my mercy. Go and tell them. Tell them that hell is real. Tell them that one sin unrepented is enough to destroy a soul. Warn them, for many take sin lightly, but few truly fear me." The light intensified, surrounding me like a shield. The demons wailed in fury, reaching but unable to touch me. My mother-in-law screamed too, her voice filled with despair. "Don't leave me here. Don't leave me." But the light pulled me away, higher and higher, until her cries faded into the distance. The next thing I knew, I gasped, choking on air. I opened my eyes and found myself lying on the ground at the funeral, surrounded by frantic faces. My husband was kneeling over me, his eyes wide with fear. "She's back. She's breathing," someone shouted. I was alive again, but I would never be the same. When I opened my eyes at that funeral, I wasn't the same woman who had collapsed. My body was weak, my throat dry, but inside something eternal had shifted. I had tasted hell. I had felt its torment. And I had been rescued by mercy I did not deserve. For days I couldn't speak of what I saw. I would wake in the night trembling, hearing echoes of screams in my ears. I couldn't bear the smell of smoke because it reminded me of the sulfur. My husband looked at me differently, not with hatred anymore, but with a strange mix of fear and concern. He held my hands at night, whispering, "Don't leave me again." I confessed everything. The poison, the bitterness, the hatred. I poured it all out in tears, expecting him to cast me away. But to my shock, he wept with me. He said, "If God gave you another chance, then who am I to throw you away?" That day my marriage began to heal, not because of me, but because of the mercy of God. I could no longer live the way I did before. Gossip, bitterness, unforgiveness, things that once seemed small now looked like open doors to hell itself. I stopped pretending in church. I stopped raising holy hands while hiding poison in my heart. Instead, I began to live every day with urgency, knowing eternity is one heartbeat away. Now I see people not as enemies but as souls either moving toward heaven or toward the fire I witnessed. My mission became simple: to warn, to love, to forgive quickly, and to remind everyone that God's grace is real, but His judgment is also real. I came back, but not everyone gets that chance. Listen to me carefully. Hell is not a story pastors used to scare you. Hell is real. I saw it. I felt it. And one unrepented sin was enough to drag me there. Don't play with sin, don't excuse bitterness, don't gamble with eternity. If you are listening right now, ask yourself, if my heart stopped today, where would I open my eyes? Jesus told me, tell them one sin can destroy a soul. Please don't wait until it's too late. Repent now, forgive quickly, and cling to Him with all your heart. Eternity is real. Friend, I've shared my story with trembling hands and a broken heart, because I don't want anyone else to wake up where I woke up. Now I ask you, do you believe hell is real? What do you think happens after death? Please share your thoughts in the comments. I would love to hear from you. If this story touched you, share it with someone who needs a reminder that eternity is closer than we think. Thank you for listening. May God keep you safe, may His mercy guide you, and until next time, stay ready.